Hiya and welcome to my assignment one for leadership and change management. Throughout this coursework, I'll be critically evaluating a change process as a new leader of the history department where I had to ensure the long-term sustainability of the department and its success. To do this, I had to make several changes as listed, ranging from changing resources, teaching and learning techniques, increasing GCSE cohort, and ensuring I reduce staff turnover. To implement the change of long-term success of the history department, it was important I carried out an evaluation as mentioned by Winkler 2010, as I was inexperienced and I would misplace certain behaviours. This evaluation also helped me figure out what type of leadership style and approach I would implement myself, and also look at how I could implement the skills for life values of the academy, which are at the heart of the curriculum and extracurricular activities. Even though I was an inexperienced leader at the time, I realised that my leadership depended on certain situational factors. I had been on courses and training, but this was the first time implementing these theories and skills. But firstly, I outlined to my team the personal values that I will always stand by. Human honesty was important to me, as it's a healthy way of feeling a distance between oneself and the problem, and will make fewer mistakes by solving them. And it also shows that leadership will flourish with humour amongst the team. And with honesty, it's not only a great sales strategy, but it's also a key leadership strategy within an organisation, resulting in greater trust and loyalty between managers and staff. Further to this, respect, trust and integrity was at the core of my values. It is important for trust and integrity as it improves chance of long-term success, which I wanted with the change that I was going to implement. And also it was important for me to be fair and just, giving people their due and treating them fairly to ensure I retained good staff. Throughout this change process and by listening to the lectures given, it was visible that I followed Eisenhower's matrix, as at times I had to look at the importance and urgency of different tasks to help strive and ensure change was sustainable. The first and the biggest change for the task I had been given by leadership was to drastically change the resources by updating and purchasing relevant textbooks and online learning resources. This would in turn help improve teaching and learning. But for this to be successful, not only purchasing these would make the change successful, I had to use Cobb's learning cycle, where the department watched, had time to think, and then implement the use of these new resources. The resources change required an ad hoc culture which helped implement my vision, but an approach I could have taken as a leader should have been more of a transformational one, with collaboration involving the department more to ensure success and implementation. This would then help with the goals of the academy of giving people a chance to grow. After looking at the different theories of change, the situational leadership model meant initially I had to have an S2 leadership style. This could then increase the confidence and skills. At the time, it also felt like I was also using the ADKAR model, trying to help and support employees through the change process. However, I think I should have prepared myself with Kubler-Ross's 5-stage model, as there was anger, which meant I had to do some bargaining to get acceptance. Using Kotter's theories, establishing a direction was important for a clear vision and long-term strategy. I had to be transformational by inspiring and encouraging. This is because using Blanchard's vocabulary of the D3 follower style, commitment is variable, as it starts off as low but gradually grows bigger due to more self-esteem. If I were to do this change again, I would think further about the school's vision in terms of teaching and learning and be more assertive. I will need to work on trying to articulate a vision as a leader to show this change is beneficial for all stakeholders. Further to this, the plan was to change resources which should in turn help with changing GCSE cohort numbers and infuse students to study history further. For this change of students' views towards history, my approach was quite mixed, with being strategic and targeting those I felt were capable, which then led to more of a transactional approach. My change supported the academy's goal of increasing progress rate score and putting less stress on the geography department. After being taught about Blake and Moulton's grid, my concern for production was 6, but for people was 9. But this did change throughout the academic year. After reflection, I would say I clearly use McKinsey's 7S's model, where I focus on the strategy in trying to entice students and notifying parents of the fact that their son or ward is doing well. Further to this, I shared the values across the Department of History with a consistent style, and staff had to be on board and apply appropriate skills. Overall, the leadership that I would say I use is a servant leadership. This is where, as stated by Jing and Shan Ray in 2020, I had a nobler vision and purpose of supporting humanities department and school progress 8 scores. The primary role that I would say I followed was serving others and serving the change and following the leadership's goals. If I was to do this change again, I would engage parents further. My leadership approach would also encompass the geography department in supporting the push for more students in the GCSE history cohort. In addition, as part of the overall change of the history department, I had to decrease staff turnover and ensure I retained specialist teachers. To do this, my leadership approach had to use a combined approach as stated by Van Wart 2017. I had to have a lot of charisma, openness and good communication skills to ensure I achieved this change. A key way to retain staff was using a value which was close to me, and I knew it was important, where I had to ensure staff felt comfortable approaching me at any given time. A theory which I believe I used was Bridges' transition model, where I knew I had to lose and let those staff members go who were not aligned with the department changes and trust's vision. This was more of a transformational leadership approach of trying to gain the commitment of others and encouraging and caring for them. As mentioned by Winkler 2010, effective leaders are accepted by all or most followers in the long term, which meant I had to be an effective leader myself, and those that didn't feel I was effective would leave the group or organization. A recommendation after reflection of my approach, I would have to look at myself and see if I was inspiring and gain trust and respect and loyalty and confidence with superiors, peers and staff. Also, my listening and feedback skills, I would have to improve these to a higher level to ensure I retained even more further staff, and also displaying the passion of the vision of my department and changes. The final change which I had to implement for the history department's success was to drive a change in curriculum and cultural capital with diversity and local history. I had to do this with an achievement-orientated approach with the high levels of communication with different stakeholders. I had to think about the balanced scorecards and adapt many internal processes to achieve this change. This further helped the financial aspect of my leadership, which I did not get to do in the other changes as previously mentioned. This change clearly supported the Skills for Life values of the Academy, where students were prepared for the future using the Employ Me acronym. COVID's circle of concern and influence not only ensured that I was outside my comfort zone doing external trips, but also put others supporting me outside of their comfort zone as well as students, which would then in turn hopefully lead the growth outside the classroom and also inside. Again, I would say I used the 7S's model, where I had to consider all parts of this change to be successful. All factors were interrelated and interdependent on one another, which can be seen as a disadvantage of using this theory, meaning it could easily fail as they were dependent on each other. To improve the cultural capital changes, I would need to improve my leadership influence of external environment to improve the cultural and diversity experience of my students. But one thing I need to consider is, as a transformational leader, how much control can you have over external stakeholders? Overall, after being tasked as a new leader with the long-term success of the history department, I need to think, am I thinking bigger than myself always in regards to other departments and the trust goals related to the school improvement project? I think my thinking is too short-term instead of long-term. The best leadership approach for long-term success is a combined approach, as mentioned by Van Wart 2017. And for change to be successful in the long term, McKinsey's 7S's model is best, as it focuses on values, style and staff and skills, embedding the vision and skill set of the staff. For me to be a successful assistant head teacher, the skills that I need to take forward are more of a combined approach, as mentioned before, but I need to improve on the financial aspect of my leadership on a larger scale. But one thing I need to consider is, how do I measure the leadership styles? The most widely accepted instrument to measure transformational leadership is the multi-factor leadership questionnaire. But is this accurate enough for my setting and for my academy, where I need to think about the organization, then the team, and then myself? Finally, by looking at the MBTI model, which was given in one of the lectures, I believe I am more of an ESTP, human experience person, where I'm outgoing and realistic, and my leadership has helped me to become action oriented, curious and versatile, with pragmatic problem solving and skillful negotiators, which I've had to do to retain staff. Thank you very much for watching this video.